Greetings, oh chap. A very, very reliable source told me that you are interested in learning how to play Anno 1800 in the year of our Lord 2024. And where better to go than right here to the guy that does not like keybinds. Let's go! So if you're just not finding me, hi, my name is Rentius. A little bit of a personal moment between both of us is never gonna hurt. I started this channel on February 3rd, 2024, so it is relatively new, and I am mostly known right now for my Anno 1800 content. There's an Anno 1800 expert campaign series. Link is in the description if you'd like to check that out. 140 plus videos there. There's also 2 scenarios currently, one for Seasons of Silver, which has been wrapped up, and then another one being for Eden Burning, which we are currently at the point of this video being recorded working on. If you are interested in supporting the channel, by all means, I would very much appreciate it. I'm very active on here and would definitely like to grow this channel even more. And I would definitely like to hear from you all if this guide was able to help you. If you would like to support the channel, you can always like the videos, you can comment on it. I'm very active on responding to comments. And if you'd like to go even further, you may definitely subscribe, and I will be quite penetrated by your kindness. Yeah, I'm throwing that out there. I'm saying it. Additionally, what I want to discuss right from the beginning with regards to this video series, this is primarily geared towards beginner players of Anno 1800, even can go so far as to intermediate players. Expert players, those who have been playing this game for quite some time, already know a lot of the tips and the tricks when it comes to it. And heck, they've even told me a couple things, and that's incredible. I am that type of person. I love to hear, tips from anywhere. It helps me become better, and I think that I want to give back now and helping the community get better with this game as well. There will be chapters in the description as well. If you want to skip forward to a specific area, you definitely can do so. And without further ado, let's get into this guide. Alrighty, so you're on the home screen. Very basic. I'm just going to go through the options on the left. New game, we get new game. Multiplayer, if you have a couple buddies you want to get in on there. Multiplayer is always fun. I haven't tried it because I've never really had anybody to play multiplayer in this game with, but I've heard it's pretty cool. Scenarios, don't really worry about this. I will cover it later on. There are 4 scenarios that have been created by the actual developers in this game. It's also a little bit part of the storyline, so if you don't really want spoilers with that, don't jump into these. They also are time-based, which that's just gonna spike your anxiety, and don't do that. Grand Gallery, you can go ahead and get some cosmetics. You can also get a particular item. We will go over that in a subsequent guide. Load game, obviously you will not have one if you're just starting out. Additional content, if you have purchased the entirety of Anno 1800, this is where you're going to be seeing what you have. And I don't know why these are all, starred, because I've been using them for quite some time. Maybe it's because I just haven't clicked on them. But apart from that, Ubisoft Connect, that's it. Yeah, Ubisoft Connect. This is from Twitch and their own platforms. I don't really deal with that. Options, you get it. Credits, you get it. Mod browser, you can either download mods through the game itself, which the modders are fantastic with this game. Additionally, you can also get it through Nexus mods, which I think it would actually be better to get through Nexus mods, and obviously quick game is quick game. But we're not going to be focusing on any of those right now. All we're going to be doing is starting up a new game. So when you click on new game, you are presented with 3 options: campaign mode, sandbox, and creative. Here's my take, okay? When you're starting off this game, the campaign mode is probably the best way of going about it. Sandbox is also pretty good because it allows you to just jump in and you get to preset your conditions and whatnot. But I personally think like the campaign is better for the sole purpose of it's slower at the beginning. And while it does try to teach you in a way how to play the game, it's got a very hands-off approach. And it has a storyline aspect to it, so that's also a good thing you can just throw in there. If you're the type of person that likes storylines, yeah, go with the campaign. If not, you can go with the sandbox, because you can pretty much set all of your conditions and whatnot. You can do the same with the campaign as well, even when it comes to NPCs. But I just feel like you start off with an island. It helps you with gaining your initial, excuse me, that's the correct word to use, construction materials and all that good stuff, and tells you how to really upgrade your citizen tier, but then stops at a specific time and then pretty much throws it to you as if you know everything and you need to do it right there, right now. Creative mode is pretty much just like you can put down anything you want. They don't have any needs that need fulfilling. The buildings don't need any particular materials to work. You can check out all the buildings and whatnot in the creative mode. Just do be advised that there are buildings and ornaments and whatnot in the creative mode that you will not be able to access via the sandbox mode, because it legitimately shows you everything. Okay, and I mean everything. You might find that, oh, this building's really cool, I want to build this one, but then wait, what happened? Why can't I do it? Because it's locked behind like only one building being placed down in the campaign mode. Obviously, if you want to download mods, and that's in the future, if you want to download mods, obviously you can get those particular buildings, but this is very basic base game guide, and that's where we're going with this. Oops, that's not actually my first blunder. There we go. We're going with the sandbox today. That's how you do it. That's how you know I'm paying attention. Go with less guidance, because that's where you're here. You want to learn. And then obviously your portrait. Now, your portrait is 100% up to you. You gain a whole bunch at the beginning, and then you can unlock some through various quests, decisions that you decide to make. That's why I'm also saying like the campaign is probably a little bit better if you want to get a couple of these later on. Some of them are behind DLCs. As you can see, I don't even have these ones because quite frankly, I just didn't care to go that far with those particular DLCs. But they are there if you choose to do so. There are also some that are unlocked via the Grand Gallery. You have a specific currency. This man's shaking his head at me already. Okay, like he's already done with me. I don't know if you are. But you can also get credits for the Grand Gallery if you complete the scenarios, and then other things via Anno 1800 in the campaign, in the creative modes, and all that stuff. You gain a little bit. It's not a lot, but you can unlock cosmetics and particular items. The items are the most important, but that will be touched on a subsequent guide. And I kind of threw in a little teaser at the beginning of this video, okay, of what this dude's name is going to be. Here you can just pick up your logo, anything that you want. There's a whole bunch over here. You can also get a couple more. You have colors. These ones are the maximum amount that the game gives you. Obviously, if you want mods in the future, they provide you with more, along with more emblems to choose from. But for this particular situation, I think this gentleman should go with the pretty pink and the top hat, monocle, and mustache. Because, I mean, he's not too far off from that. He just has a pair of glasses on. He just does not have the monocle. It's breaking my immersion a little bit, so we're moving on. And now I'm going to name this guy Lord Oaksworth. Do you guys know where this reference is from? Here, I'll drop a hint.
Welcome to the Caribbean, Governor. Allow me to introduce myself, Lord Oaksworth, His Majesty's emissary to the region.
Yeah, I get, like, if you're new here, you're kind of getting my humor. I hope. At least that's what I'm trying to portray to everybody at this stage. So when you start off, you have all the additional content down here underneath your player name. Obviously, this is all cosmetic with your name and who your character looks like, because they don't talk, they don't do anything. It's just your banners, and that's important because we're going to be touching on banners immediately. I think out of every single one of these additional content, the Seat of Power is the most important thing, and it's because you get banners. And I'm going to turn this entire Anno 1800 community into bannerholics. I swear, that is my goal. But putting that to the side for a moment, all the additional content that you have is actually shown over here. So what you can do, if you just choose you don't want to play a specific one of the DLCs that you have, you can always click them off and click them back on again. It's just a nice way for you to manage what you have. So if you don't have these, don't worry about it. If you don't see anything down here, don't worry about it. It's all fine. So then you go over here to the single player options, and this is what it's really showing you what you can possibly do. They have presets in the normal, advanced, and expert. As a beginner player, you can definitely go with the normal mode, but I do want to touch on the NPCs themselves. So we're just going to go through all these. Like 75,000 is relatively the highest you can start out with capital. Would recommend this. Influence is very important. It's used to get new islands, ships, trade unions, town halls, all that stuff. So you definitely want to make sure that you do have some decent influence and you don't have to stress about it. Large world and islands, the larger the islands, the easier it is to get acclimated, because the higher you go with expert difficulty, the smaller it is. Then you're really going to have to min-max everything you do. That also really transfers into the minerals and all that stuff that you have and fertilities. Full construction refunds are perfect. Gain your money back, you gain the materials back, I believe, and then free building location. You don't want to pay for those. It sometimes costs. And then on expert level difficulty, once you put them down, the only way to really get rid of them or move them is by deleting them. But in this situation, we're going to go with custom. Now, what you see at the very top is difficulty, and there's a blue bar here. As you change specific options with this, right, you will notice that it now reached advanced by me just clicking a couple of these. Don't really worry about this too much. Start off with the easiest you can possibly do. The closer to this side is the best when it's actually coming to learning purposes for Anno 1800. If you're that type of person that wants to go all the way to the end, and I've tried it before, it's very fun, get used to the game first, then do it. There are sites that tell you what some good random map seeds are, but I personally am the type of person, I'd like to do the, let's have a mystery thrown in here. You know what I mean? Let's throw it out there, see what happens. So you can always re-roll this a couple times and see what you get. Or you can go and find a preset, go over here, type it in, like, I don't know, something like this, and just roll with 4154. You know what I mean? And then you can always change the map type if you so choose. This is up to you. It can be random. We'll just set it for random for now. Characters. So I'm going to get rid of all three of these to start off with, and I want to just show you who you could be going up against, or you don't even need to go up against anybody. You can legitimately just keep these empty and move on to faction customization. You do not need to go up against NPC opponents, but I feel like if I don't explain them to you, I'd be doing you a disservice. So the level ones in Benta, Princess Ching, and Willy are very, very passive. They will love you for practically everything you do, okay? If you just, I don't know, decide you want to do a little bit of propaganda, they'll just be like, oh, you shouldn't really do that, but I'm not going to do anything about it. You know, they'll try to trade with you. They'll try to be on good terms with you. It's, in a way, pretty good to start learning how to deal with the NPCs in this game. These three are really easy to start out with. But as you can clearly see, there are 5 level 2s, and these are your intermediates, okay? Now, I say intermediate with a modicum of caution. Dr. Hugo Mercer is part of the Anarchist DLC. He stops at engineer tier buildings, but he can get very powerful, and if you have all the DLCs enabled, he will start deploying mines, crazy harbor defenses. He just goes crazy, okay? He likes chaos, organized chaos. Benta is, I'm sorry, not Benta, Beryl is one of the people that you saw as in the normal section. Beryl has a tendency of becoming very, very strong, very fast. And I personally think that she should have been a level 3, but that's just me. I would exercise these two with some caution. George Smith does not like propaganda, nor does he like increasing worker productivity. And that's something that you can do on your own accord, and people will not be very happy if you do that. Gasparov is a artsy-fartsy type dude. I have a love-hate relationship with him because I went up against him in our Anno 1800 Expert campaign series, and he royally screwed me for some time. He likes everything artistic, and even though he will put down factories polluting this glorious world of ours, he will still lower his appreciation of you if you decide to put one down. Gotta love the hypocrisy, right? Carl is your typical industrialist fat cat. He will love everything that you do if you want to be that evil warlord and tyrant, like oppressing your people. This is the man for you. But at the same time, the level 2s might be a little bit daunting. I wouldn't really focus on these guys. And then you have the Mac Daddies in the level 3s. Alonzo Graves, Admiral Vicente Silva, and Lady Margaret Hunt. I hate that woman. Let me be very, very frank with you. They all are very powerful, okay? But they expand at different rates. Alonso is the slowest. Vicente tends to be that happy medium. He likes to churn out a bunch of ships. And then Lady Margaret Hunt, she just blitzes throughout the entire campaign. You will eventually see her own like entire regions by herself because she's just demolished everybody. Ships, she's fast on. Expansion, she's fast on. Upgrading her citizen tiers, insane. She goes everywhere, okay? Definitely. Like, if you want to, at that point, reach the expert level, hands down, you can go by yourself against her. And that enough is a challenge. But for this one, we're going to go with Venta, we're going to go with Willy, and Princess Ching. So we got these three. The next stage is faction customization. These guys are NPCs. They don't do anything. They trade with you. They have items. I definitely would recommend having them on. They also provide you with missions, quests, what have you. Keep them on. They're good for trading and resources and whatnot, and we're going to get to that later on in subsequent guides. The pirates will be hostile towards you the moment they see you, but you have an opportunity to completely turn them off so you will never have to deal with them. For the sake of this guide, I'm going to keep them both on average because there is an easy way to deal with the pirates. There's also a harder version, in which case this is just annoying. It's not anything else. They will raid you, they will not demolish you. They're very unorganized. Actual features, so high income, that's what you want. Inactive upkeep, make sure this is off. If you keep this on, you're going to be paying for buildings that you stopped production on. Construction refunds, keep that on full. Building relocation, keep that on. Trading posts, restocks, keep that common. Easy city incidents, this includes like riots, fires, explosions, I don't know, some other element of randomness that just pops out of nowhere. Diseases, because people don't like to wash their hands. Quest frequency, keep that on common because you can get some money and some influence from this, and a reputation with the other NPCs is really good. Influence, keep that on high. Skyscrapers comes from the High Life DLC. If you don't see this option, don't worry about it. If you do see it, just keep it on low. It's literally not going to do anything for you if you don't have it. Starting conditions. So you have an option between starting with nothing, but a harbor starting with full stuff, a flagship, a trade fleet, a war fleet. I think personally it's the most fun when you have your flagship, so I would recommend going the flagship. Starting harbor, you can keep it off if you would like to explore a little bit and see which other islands are better, but in this particular stage, just go with full. There's nothing that, you know, you're not going to get diminishing returns by having it on full. Starting capital, make sure it's on large. This one is up to you if you want to have the mysterious element to what your region looks like and all that good stuff, or you can turn it on and you can see the entire map. Victory conditions. Now, the typical thing here is that a lot of Anno 1800 veterans will tell you that they don't even go to the point of finishing the actual victory conditions. They just go until they're tired of their game session, and they either restart one or they take a mega break from it. So in this situation, I would just keep the conditions off because there's literally nothing that you're going to be gaining by doing these, in my opinion. So just keep it off. But monuments are stuff that you build, like World's Fairs and stuff like that. Investors are the highest tier of citizen that you can get to. Target population, obviously that's population number. Target wealth would be the amount of wealth you're actually gaining, and that kind of ties in with the investors because they pay a lot of money. Target revenue, same. Diplomatic, ugh, gross. Just destroy them all. You don't need to engage in diplomacy if your enemy's defeated, okay? I'm just throwing that out there. Let's continue and start the game. Okay, so now, welcome to your island. Now, as you can clearly see, you may not like the name of your island to begin with, okay? But there's something simple you can do. Just click up there and change it. Very simple. I just went with Roma because that's the very first thing. I love the, you know, anything Roman wise, just literally throw me in there, champ. So because of the conditions that we started the game off with, we have a starting island. We have 60 timber in there. We also have a couple of other resources, mostly in fish. We'll get to that soon. But we also have our flagship.
At your service.
We have the Endeavor. And this also has some construction materials in there along with some weapons. Now, one thing that I typically like to do in this particular situation is before I even start, you know, working on this island, I kind of like to look at my surroundings. Because we have a revealed map, we can see that Willy over here is focusing on building right over here. We have Benta that's relatively close to us, and then we have Princess Ching that's down here. We also have the pirate, of whom she's over here, and you know what? This is probably like the funniest position I've ever seen her in, because if you're actually at war with her and if you take this island, you can just build harbor defenses and just keep fighting her all the time with this little cannon here.
To choose between you and these poor souls.
That's pretty funny. Then your NPCs with Sir Archibald Blake over here, good to trade with. You also have Madame Kahina, of whom is literally right next door. So this is actually not a bad world seed at all. If you want to go ahead and just put this one down. And then you have Eli at the prison. And later on, he is going to be the person that's going to be supplementing your early game income. But let's go back to looking at our neighboring islands. So I like to look for the fertilities. We have potato, hops, red pepper, and grape fertility here. And we have potatoes, grain, red pepper, and grape over here. Our main island will always have potatoes and grain regardless of which difficulty you're on. Those ones are the basics. Those are what you're going to start out with. You're also going to be getting oil springs on your main islands. You will also get a clay deposit, some iron, and coal. If you get anything additional to that, that is just based off of your conditions that you start out the game with. But we also have red pepper, and we also have the ability of having saltpeter later on. So in between these two islands, what I'm going to tell you from the start is hops is going to be pretty important. So I would take your flagship
ready for orders
and bring it close to a harbor area for this particular island, because hops is going to be, like I mentioned, very important. Don't worry about unloading those materials because I'll tell you what to do. So over here you have your construction menu, beautification menu, stamps, and the ship menu, of which they have the overview for all the ships that you have. Idle ships, trade ones, ones that are patrol, ones that are escorting, and those via transit. Transit means going in between the various regions in Anno 1800. Additionally to that, when you're on here, you have dirt roads. You also have your farmer residences. These ones are going to be just standard over here. You can put stuff into the empty slots. So like, for example, you can click and drag the marketplace into here. You can also do this via the wheel that automatically spawns over here. But this is just for me, and because I have to make every single one of you bannerholics. If you guys have a cosmetic pack, in the beautification menu, you have the regular stuff over here, which are trees. The grand gallery stuff that you decide to pick will be here. These ones are the additional ones from your DLCs, okay? So you have anarchist ones here, you have bonus ones here, sunken treasures, and yada yada yada. But the most important one, and what I want you to do, I like to have pop quizzes in this household. So you're gonna go to C to power if you have it. You see this? You see this thing right here? You're gonna click and hold, and you're gonna drag it to this empty spot. I don't care if you have 2 cents left over here in your coins. You are gonna put down a banner. Okay, you are going to put down a banner. Yes, moving on. So, additional cosmetic packs that you have purchased will be over here, and it's very easy just to get to them at this point. If you have anything special, it'll pop up over here, and you can see a whole bunch. Like if you decide to do like the scenarios, this is one that you can get from it, which is like a silver tree. There's also a gold one, but getting gold and that is just absolutely abysmal. So let's begin with actually starting off your island. So you need to have roads everywhere. So let's build a road straight forward over to, let's say, over here, okay? Your harbor area also counts as a warehouse. And as you can see here, we have a couple of options. At the bottom right over here, you have blueprint mode, which I would advise turning on. Blueprint mode allows you to put down buildings, but you're not actually building them. You can see what would be the best spots to put them in. So let's say, for all intents and purposes, we're going to put a marketplace right over here. A marketplace is really important because that's what your farmers are going to need first. So let's just go ahead and build one farmer residence.
a new milestone.
Perfect. Your age of agriculture has begun. If we were to click on the farmer's residence, you'll notice that the market is not fulfilled. Nothing they have is being fulfilled. If that reaches 0, they're moving out, which means that this house is going to be abandoned. It's going to break apart, it's going to become a ruin, and then you're going to have to actually rebuild it. But let's see what happens when we actually build a marketplace. It'll go up, 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 up to perfect. So now it won't. That's their very first condition. Each household have their own needs, their happiness needs, and then lifestyle needs. These ones are very complicated. We'll get to this later on. But then with the primary needs, these are what you need to actually fulfill in order for your people to actually be able to upgrade to the next tier of citizen. The happiness needs are optional.
She had bunions, silly horncoot. So I says, keep your feet in health or you can't work, and your 6 little mouths will go hungry.
The NPCs really like to interrupt me all the time, by the way. Get used to it. So, the happiness needs, I would recommend at least fulfilling one. Some of them are as easy as just putting down a building, being like the pub here, or you have some farming to do. So, let's go ahead and start off our basic island chain. We have to initially start on more timber production because your very first early game resource for building is going to be timber. And the best thing that I like to do is really just pre-plan where you want to build things. Like, we have a pretty decent woodland territory over here. And if we were to go over to the timber, we will notice that there are 2 buildings here. There's a lumberjack hut, and then there's also a sawmill. The very first thing I want you to notice is that there's a time to these. Everything in Anno 1800 actually is based on time. Time produced, time refined, time delivered. So in this particular situation, it would take a lumberjack hut 15 seconds to produce some wood, and then the sawmill would take 15 seconds to actually take that wood and turn into timber. And then it would take an additional time to put it into a warehouse. So let's actually go ahead and pre-plan this. As you can see that there's a radius around this particular building. It says 100%. 100% meaning that it will indeed work at 15 seconds to produce that good. But if we were to bring it over here, notice how it says 72. It would probably try to grow a couple trees around it because that's what it's defaulting to. But because of the location, it will never be at 100%. So you don't want to put these in your city, okay? You want to put them on the outskirts. And you can go ahead and find some other place, like on your island, because our island is quite spacious over here. You can put them all the way in the back here if you so choose, or you can put them over here. For the sake of this guide, I'm going to put it over here. You can always move these as your settlement expands. So let's go ahead and put down a lumberjack hut right over here. Now, what I've seen a lot of people do, and a lot of other guides and, YouTubers, is they like to put a lumberjack hut and then a sawmill like so, and put a little road connection in between. So this would work because they would be getting the wood and then delivering it immediately to the sawmill. But then if we actually go to your harbor area, you'll notice that wood is indeed a resource, and it is a resource that you will be using later on, okay? So my advice to you is when you're actually putting down a building like this, or a building chain, is instead of putting it right next to one another, put it along the main road. And then have a road connection going from that to that, because later on, when you put down your warehouse, let's say we're going to put it down right over here, if this is full up with 75 timber in your actual storeroom, then you will be able to overstock on wood, and then the wood would be stocked in there. So that means when you actually use some construction materials, or anything for that matter, you will have backup. So let's go ahead and actually talk about the way that they deliver these things. As you can see that there is a blue line. This blue line ends at this curve, okay? If we were to put this warehouse over here, it would not reach it, but the sawmill would. Because we want both of them to actually work effectively, it would be really beneficial to have them both be able to reach this particular warehouse. But before we actually get to building these, we're actually going to have to build some more homes, because homes are important. Your workforce is over here. We cannot sustain that production chain with just 5 workers, or farmers in this particular state. So what you can do is you can either individually place them down like this, or you can click and hold and drag and put it like that. And we are still in the blueprint mode, mind you. So you may or may not see it like this. You can also turn it off and just literally do something like this, right? But then if you won't put like any road connections to them, they're eventually going to pop up with a little sign that says, oh, we can't get anywhere. So easily put a road right around it, and that goes away. The same general principle with delivering goods is same with buildings like the marketplace. As you can see, there's a darker green for these areas, and then it becomes a lighter green over here to eventually fading at this curve once more. That is pretty much the radius of how far this marketplace can go with the current roads that you've built. Do note that later on, when you upgrade your roads to paved roads, it goes farther. Not by too much, but it does go farther. So if we were to put one home, let's say right over here, you'll notice that you will still gain the marketplace need to an extent, but it's not great because they're not close enough to it. So this would not be good. You would have to build another one over here, but at the time that you're starting off your settlement, this is a horrible idea. So this is actually a good time to actually use the relocation tool and bring it, like for example, over to here. So right now we're sitting at 30 farmers, and as you can see, we need to get them to fish. We need to have 50 farmers here in order for that to happen. But before we actually get to that, let's head back over here to our woodcutting production because we have to get this thing going. The first thing you would want to build is the warehouse. Now, you remember how I said it's time produced, time refined, time delivered? There's also time transported, but I don't really count that one. That's just, I don't know. That's who I am. You'll see here that there are loading ramps. Currently, this small warehouse has the capability of producing 2 loading ramps, and these things is the time delivered. When these guys are actually delivering things to this warehouse, that's when these update. And it'll have a little bar indicating how fast it would take to actually deliver and put it into the stockpile. You can upgrade these warehouses over time. Do note that the more you upgrade them, the more their actual maintenance costs. And as you can clearly see here, we're minus 40 already. So let's go ahead and build the lumberjack hut and build the sawmill. As you can see, now we're losing 15 of our farmers because we're actually putting them into our workforce.
Nice day for it.
This one is working at 100% because the cultivation area is at 100%. And this one will work at 100% because all it requires is just some timber. So as you can see here, they already are bringing over some wood. And they're going to deposit it into this sawmill. And then once it's there, they are going to start up and begin the process. So it's currently telling us that we're missing goods.
Something's missing.
Because they're still delivering the resource here. Okay? They will
Metal
work
plants change
continuously.
things, I'll grant.
So what I would recommend is not just relying on the one. Go with a couple. So let's actually build 3 to start off. We can have 3 lumberjack huts working because our population is capable of sustaining that. But this also ties into a really interesting element of Anno 1800 being your production chains, okay? As you can clearly see, we are producing over here supply and demand. This is how it works. We are currently producing 12 tons of wood per minute here. But at the same time, our timber is only at 4. And that's because it's not a 1-to-1. We have essentially 3-to-1. That's not really that great. So what you want to do in this situation, and what I like to do, excuse me, I was going down the wrong pipe, is build a sawmill for each lumberjack hut and keep it like this. So when these guys produce one, they deliver it, they go to there. A nice little track. You can go to 4, but I think for all intents and purposes right now, 3 is just fine. As you can also see, we also unlocked the fishery, but we don't have 25 farmers to put this thing down. That's not good. What we have to do is we need to upgrade some more homes or build some more homes. So let's go ahead and build these ones and build these ones. And now we're out of timber. This actually ties into us going to another island over here, which we already have. And once your ship carrying the resources, which essentially requires some timber and some steel beams, specifically it's 10 and 8, I believe. I could be wrong. Someone will probably say that in the comments. It's been a while. Normally I just take the maximum and I put them in there. But what you could do here is, you see how it's blueprinted that you have a harbor area over here that you can build? If you were to click on it, oh yeah, 10 and 8, there we go, I'm right. Your first island is going to be free, but you still need to pay for it, and these are the resources it's going to take from you in order to build this particular trading post. So we're just going to go ahead and do it. Let's claim our first island.
I see you're exploring yet more islands.
You see, when you're on level 1, they like it that you're faster than them.
Settle down. Where'd you get that island?
Maybe not him. He's weird. I don't like him. Is Princess Jane going to say anything? What is the name of this island? Dwangaloo? Okay, we're gonna keep it.
Flagship awaiting instructions.
So, because there's nothing really happening over here, just take this and this all the way back to your main island.
Coordinates plotted.
And just keep it there. So this is your very first expansion path, okay? It's good to have another island in the bank, especially with those particular resources. And right now, our guys are doing a really good job in bringing in some timber, which we desperately need. And we can begin working on the fishery here soon. So remember how I said that the harbor area also acts as a warehouse? Well, this is very simple. Plop this thing down right next to it.
A new milestone.
And build a little road connection to it. This will now produce 1 ton of fish every 30 seconds. You will also get this fool popping up from time to time. Just get rid of him. I'm here to tell you what's up, okay? I'm just putting that out there.
Flagship ready for orders.
So you can always hit this transfer menu and you can click these items to bring them back in. You can always choose to transfer based off of whichever one you want. So you can do it individually, you can do it by tens, or the infinite one would be by 50 each time. Yes, we know about the ornaments. I already covered that. Thank you. So now we've unlocked our first luxury good, being Schnapps, right? In this particular situation, we would have to have a potato farm and 1 Schnapps distillery. But we also have work clothes, which is 1 sheep farm to 1 framework knitter. And that is, I'm going that based off of the time frame between these two. So there's 30 seconds for this, 30 seconds for that. What a lot of people tend to do is find a location and kind of hunker down when it comes to these particular chains. So I'm kind of digging this little island in the middle, right? What you can do is drag the road and it'll automatically make a bridge. But when you get to making a bridge, it's going to actually cost materials. So it's going to be 20 timber to actually build up this particular bridge. But we're going to do it anyway. We have 64, right? Why not? And because there's also a clay deposit over here, we should just connect this thing anyway, because we're going to be utilizing this in the future. So this is going to be a good spot to actually have like a couple farm fields, don't you think?
His Majesty needs money to build a new underwater palace. He wants you to begin growing money. I mean, one of those crops that make heaps of cash.
We can start off by putting this thing in blueprint mode and finding a good spot to put down our first farm. So this is not a bad spot for it, right? We can put this one over here, and when you click on it, you will notice that it has potato fields. You will actually have to build these potato fields. And it's very simple. All you do is you start from the building itself, and you can just build across and just drag it up. If you don't like the way that it looks, you can always hold down the shift key, and it will repopulate. But extra actual farm fields are not going to do anything for you at the moment. So we pretty much just encase this potato farm within potato fields. And we would need to connect it with a road connection. So this is one, right? The next building here is going to be the Schnapps distillery. And the Schnapps distillery, you can either choose to put it right next to it, so they just deliver right across. Something I personally like to do, and this is like my own little artistic flair coming into this case, get rid of some of the fields and just like plop it in there. Make it look pretty. But then also make sure that you do have enough potato fields. So I have 1 extra. Okay, I have 1 extra potato field for this particular farm to fully work. And because it has to be close to a warehouse, and if you were to click on these, it's nowhere close to any warehouse you built already. Go ahead and build a warehouse as close as you possibly can and get these things going. And do note, you always have to pay attention to your workforce. It's going to take 20 farmers to work this potato farm, and it's going to work or need 50 farmers for this Schnapps distillery. So in total, we're going to be utilizing 70 farmers for these two. We only have 74. So go ahead and build these up, and they're going to start working. And the cool thing about this is you can always go over here back to your production, and you can see, is that indeed enough for our population right now? Yes, it is, because the green bar is going to show you that you're overproducing a little bit, and the blue bar is showing how much they're consuming. Really important. So we're good on the fish. We're good when it comes to potatoes to schnapps distillery ratio right here, and we're also good with the schnapps. That's perfect. So soon we're going to be seeing
Ain't perfect, but what is?
this go up once we actually have some schnapps delivered into the warehouse. Right now they're saying luxury need is -7, but that'll change once we actually build this. The next one is going to be the work clothes. The work clothes also has a similar stratagem to it, and we want to again pick a nice little spot to go with this one. Let's build a road connection over to here, and you know what, this little quaint area is nice to start up with this whole production as well. So let's begin. Very first thing I would recommend at this point is put down a warehouse. Let's put a warehouse right over here at this corner. The sheep farm is going to require 10 farmers. And the cool thing about it is, yes, it does have a radius similar to the lumberjack huts, but this is different. Let me show you how it's different. We're going to put it right here. Let's put it like that. And it has sheepfolds. So some buildings actually have little modules like this. And you need to build them all, otherwise they're not going to be working enough to manage your population, right? But we can't actually build this thing yet because we don't have enough farmers. We only have 4 that are available to work, and this thing needs 10. So we're going to head back to our main little village over here, and we're going to build a couple more homes. And we're going to loop that around with the road connection and build that. You will also be able to see your overall island population happiness right here with this little blue face. Eventually this will turn green if they really like you and you're providing a whole bunch of luxury needs to them, or it'll turn red, at which case I hope you have a lot of police stations and you enjoy the chaos. I personally like to build a road around the marketplace like this, and I would think it would just be a good idea at this stage to continue building another row of homes. You can do something like this. Alternatively, instead of doing something like that, what you can do is this copy tool, okay? You can just pick an area. Let's say we're starting from this 4-way, and click and hold and drag over what you want until it's fully green, and then remove. And then you can pretty much pre-position this wherever you so choose. So because we didn't want to utilize that thing before that I put down, we can just use this. Put this one down. Easy peasy. And then go ahead and build it all up. Looking great. We also got a couple more buildings. We'll get to that in a moment. First things first, we are going to need to build this warehouse, and then we are going to build this sheep farm. So that's our very first sheep farm built there, folks, and you can literally do the exact same with this as well. You can just copy it, and let's say in the future you want to put another one down, you put it like right over here. Easy. I think if I actually positioned this well enough, I could have put one over here for total beautification purposes. But now, we need to build the framework knitter. We still don't have enough population, but the cool thing about it is they're still populating, okay? So give them some time. You can always fast forward this, and you'll see the population go up a little bit faster, because it does tend to take a little bit of time. You know, it is what it is. But as you can clearly see, the schnapps is actually reaching close to being perfect, and that is because we're producing enough for them right now. Same goes with the fish. And while they're actually getting to that stage, as you can clearly see here, the pub is another building that they would want as far as their luxury needs are concerned. Some of them are very easy to fulfill, and this is one that I would recommend. If you don't decide that you want to actually get to the part of having schnapps or any of these things, which can become a bit of a pain, just go ahead and put down a pub or another building of the similar variety that they require and just connect it with the road. Same thing, check to make sure it's actually dark green, because that means it's going to be perfect with them.
You reward our hard graft.
So right now we're providing them with schnapps, we're providing them with the pub. They're giving us a little bit of extra coins, so 3 with this one and 1 for the actual pub. And right now, overall island happiness is +30. This means that your population is really good. you are doing everything they require, and it's not causing you to have a lot of diminishing returns with your income. It's only minus 94 right now. But the last thing that we have to build here, which is going to, put a damper on things, is the framework knitter, which is going to cost 50 maintenance and 50 of our workforce. So let's build that building up. You can choose to put these wherever you so want. For example, I kind of at times like to put them in my settlements. So it adds that like, oh, this is a really bustling city. It's really like, it's getting there type feel. That's completely up to you if you so choose to do so. It's really everybody's game at that point. Everyone has their own style of playing Anno 1800. And the last building that we're going to be discussing here is the fire station. This is going to be your first emergency response system. Always have one in your settlement, and as you can see, the blue line, the darker it goes, the faster they'll get to it. The lighter colors on that side, it'll still get to them, but not as fast. So in this situation, we wanted to get to as many homes as possible, and I think this might be a good spot for it. So we're just going to put it down, and we can build it up like so. Distilleries like this have a tendency of exploding, or at least they do for me. So what you would consider doing is maybe putting one over here, right? And then framework knitters also have a tendency of blowing up or catching on fire randomly. So I'm going to put one over here as well. This does also really chip into your balance, but if you play your cards right, you should be good with this, okay? Slow and steady wins the race sometimes. You don't have to massively expand out of nowhere and all that good stuff, right? But the cool thing about this is, you have your crops right over here. You have to work on these, right? It's really important to at least get the initial stuffs going, and later on, farming becomes pretty important. So right now we're minus 157 on the balance. We have 75 timber in here. We have some steel beams. We can't upgrade these things quite yet, but if you go over to here, you'll notice that the workload is slowly going up. And once it actually reaches to 10, which we'll fast forward here right now, you will find that it is capable of actually upgrading to the next tier of citizen, which is very important. This is how you expand in Anno 1800. This is your typical early game. Sometimes it takes a while. For many people, it's just like, ugh, I just want to get through this stage already. And hopefully they'll be able to actually reach green relatively soon. It has a tendency of just stalling at this until it actually reaches that. And once you see this icon, it means they're ready to upgrade. You can always go to the upgrade tool over here. You'll see that all these homes are slowly starting to get some upgrade stuff to them, and you'll be able to work on doing that. You can either choose to individually upgrade them through clicking, or you can go over here and you can like drag and they'll all upgrade for you. However, the most important thing to do is you need to put down banners, okay? This is your version of patriotism in your island. You need to put them everywhere. And I cannot stress this enough, that you need to put banners down, Chief. I don't care. There's literally no excuse you can give me for not putting down a banner, okay? I'm just saying. So, this is the very first stage of your Anno 1800 early game. In the next episode, we're going to be touching on workers, and following that, we're going to go even more in depth with the other regions and additional stuff to that. So please let me know if there's anything that you need clarification on. That is what this is for. If you're an intermediate or advanced player, you want to help out your fellow Anno 1800 gamer, please consider doing so. Always have healthy discussions in the comment section. It's really productive, okay? It helps to teach people, in my experience. So until next time, please consider commenting, subscribing, sharing the video, sharing this with your friends, anywhere else. Help me grow the channel. I would very much appreciate it. And I will catch you on the next Anno 1800 guide. Hope you guys have a great day. And keep smiling. Yeah, I'm gonna put that out there. Yeah, keep smiling.